Point Blank is brought to you by Bing Bong, the crypto exchange where you can trade with up to 150x leverage. Welcome to Point Blank. This is your host, Panama Crypto. Today, our guest is Josh McGruff. How you been, bro?
I'm doing good, man. I appreciate you having me here today.
My pleasure. Been wanting to bring you on for a long time. I guess NFTs bringing us together.
Yeah, I would definitely say NFTs are a hot spot in the market right now, and have certainly drawn a lot of attention, especially with news that just came out here this week with like Visa buying a crypto punk and stuff like that. I mean, the market's hot, and the world is shifting their attention to NFTs.
So, how you figure out when to get into Parallel? Who showed it to you?
So Fitch, Frank Fitch is, I mean, he's the
fucking
NFT
goat.
god right now. Yeah. And, I saw him tweet about it significantly earlier than when I even got involved. And I remember him saying a lot of times, hey, don't sleep on this project. This project's going to be big. And generally when Frank throws his weight behind something, it's something you should be paying attention to. And so at the end of July there, they had the card pack drop. I jumped onto the website prior. I had my account already registered and ready to go. I was fortunate enough. I immediately reserved 3 of the core packs, 3 of the middle packs. I think they're enhanced is what they were called, but I couldn't snag any of those premium packs, which is really what I wanted because I knew that'd be like the super rare cards and stuff. I stayed on the site though, and I kind of just randomly refreshed it every once in a while. And sure enough, reservation slots popped up for 3 of the premium. So I snagged those up too. One of the best decisions I've made in crypto and come ups that I've had in crypto too was the less than 1 ETH or I guess maybe just a little bit over 1 ETH that I put into that turned into like 30 ETH very quickly. It was absolutely crazy and mind blowing to me how quickly that all blew up.
Reminds me of the FOMO in 17 for the ICOs.
Absolutely.
Like you couldn't get any allocations because like websites were down because of the overload, and it was insane. It was very difficult to get a piece of the action, especially because the bots were very active and snatching everything that was available.
And it's the space is it's actually similar, like you said, to the ICO space in terms of that FOMO. Right now, though, I think the space is starting to get really flooded with the avatar PFP style NFTs and things like that. I think there's almost a new flavor every week at this point with those. And I don't personally really look for a lot of those when I go to invest in NFTs. And there's definitely situations though where I've missed out big, things like, Bored Ape Club and things like that. The Penguins is another one that I didn't get a piece of that has blown up and gone crazy. And I think what's hard to say about those is you really just don't know. There's a lot of risk, I think, involved in those projects because crypto Twitter's so squirrelish. They're ready to jump to the next project. They're ready to jump to the next thing they think it's going to make them rich. And unless you really do just get a solid community built around one of those projects, you could be the guy that's left holding the bag. And that's also, your biggest issue with NFTs. They're liquid. You can't just go onto the exchange and say, screw it, I'll take a loss and just dump this unless you happen to have some people who put some bids out there. So it's definitely a much tougher space, I think, to trade in. But there's also a lot of subjectivity behind it too. What you think is pretty versus somebody else, or what you think is art versus somebody else. So it's a very interesting and dynamic space that I don't think is going to go away anytime soon. It's just like anything else in the crypto space. You're going to have the people that are out there creating projects for a quick buck, and you can kind of smell that versus a legitimate quality project with a solid community.
And going back to Parallel, the snapshot for the Galaxy keys on Thursday, I think it was 5 p.m. Central Time, something like that.
Yeah, it sounds right. I don't know that right off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure it's Thursday.
What do you think is the play after the snapshot? Do you think that special editions are going to hike up in price and standard editions are going to plummet?
I do, to be honest with you. I think standard edition, the big rush we've seen in those is because people are trying to build sets. They want that Galaxy key. Granted, this data now is maybe about a week or so old. But with crypto moving as quick as it is, it put them in a couple of days ago for all I know. But I remember seeing Kalos from Parallel showing that somebody had run a script, and it looks like there was only ballpark 240 complete sets right now that would be eligible for a Galaxy key. And while we don't know what this Galaxy key does yet, we just know that it can be basically burned for something. And you kind of roll the dice on the mystery box to see what you get. I think they're going to be very, very sought after. And also it's going to depend once whoever that brave soul is burns that first one, figures out, what comes through, or is it something random? But back to your initial question, though, I do think that standard cards will start to decline. I think people will offload those after they get their snapshot, they get their Galaxy key. I think a special edition will become the craze again. I think prime keys will also start to become the craze. We have unconfirmed, but me back and forth tweeting with Parallel just yesterday. 8/27, which would be 2 days from now, is a prime number, and 8/29, August 29th, is a prime number as well. And so I tweeted out and said, hey, those are two prime numbers. Prime proposal should be at the end of the month. And they tweeted back, 2 plus 9 equals 1 or / for like their logo. So to me, that kind of signifies that the prime proposal is probably coming out on August 29th. So depending on what that news is, I think that could really drive the prime key market up. Or it'll be a sell the news event if people aren't satisfied with whatever it is. I think historically, though, Parallel's been really good about under promising and over developing versus building a bunch of hype around something and then it being a letdown. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see what comes out here in the next 4 days, basically.
In my case, I got late to the game, unfortunately, but on last week started aping into it. I got the PD1 Paraset on Sunday.
Congratulations.
Thanks. I think it's gonna be a good bet to get the Galaxy key. I think it's gonna outweigh the loss of value of the regular cards.
I think so too, to be honest with you.
I think
it's going to be a race to the bottom, unfortunately, though. When that snapshot's first taken, you're going to see a lot of people immediately either start gobbling up the bids that are available, or everyone's going to be undercutting each other and just driving the market down. But I do agree with you. I think whatever this Galaxy key, especially how scarce they're going to be, and the fact that they're deflationary too, I think it'll be huge. I think we'll see them potentially priced higher than Catalyst drives and things like that, which are 90 ETH right now. If as long as whatever it is they unlock is something that the community is definitely driven by.
I guess it's gonna be rarer than the prime key, right? Like prime key is what, 1,500?
That's correct. There's 15. I think there's only roughly a little over 1,000 in circulation right now. But you are correct. Prime keys also will be deflationary, which is a real cool thing about them for holders. So right now, I don't know if this is confirmed or this is speculation. I think it is confirmed, but we have the currency Prime, their ERC20 token they're going to be releasing, which we do know for sure that as you play Parallel and win games, you can acquire Prime. Part of the supply is going to be held for Prime key holders, and you can burn your Prime key and get part of that supply. The gimmick behind that, or I shouldn't call it a gimmick, that's a bad word, but however you want to word that, behind it though is, whoever burns their first Prime key will get a smaller slice of the pie. And basically whoever that very last guy is that burns his key is going to get a significant chunk of it. So it also encourages people not to immediately just burn their Prime keys. And if you're that last guy holding it, depending on what the value of Prime is versus what your payout is, you could probably make a significant amount of money off of it.
Hell yeah. I think I'm going to dump all my PD1 cards except like, I don't know, Gaia's Call, Day and Night.
So the Day and Night stuff's interesting too, because they're limited supply. And I don't know if a lot of folks realize that, of where say, I think the special edition version of that, there's 250 total, but realistically, there's only 125 of each because that's a combined supply of the day and night cycle. So
But
really,
that's for
that's
the special edition.
correct. The standard edition also has a day and night version.
Yeah.
I just don't know off the top of my head what the total supply is on those, but whatever it is, it's cut in half because of the day and night.
Nice. And I'm gonna keep I don't know, the Markolian Earthbreaker Cannon, because the supply of that one is 800s. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I think any of your, I mean,
The Lancer
realistically,
Tank and the Soleil Disciple of Gathar.
I think realistically, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. Obviously, your special edition cards are going to go for more because they're special edition. They're the holographic Charizard card. And so, and they're also a tighter supply. But in general, for folks to keep in mind about Parallel is all of these cards, standard edition or special edition, are alpha set. There will be a beta set, a gamma set, however many, in the supply of those will be much larger and more accommodating for people to buy into to be able to play the game. These alpha cards are really like holding, your Magic the Gathering alpha set. And while there may be another Gaia's Call released in the beta version, it won't have the alpha tag. And they've even said that they're looking at adding special in-game borders and graphics and stuff like that for the alpha edition, regardless if it's standard or not. There's a lot of collectability. Yeah, there's a lot of collectability and that flex, if you will, in a game, if you play it, to be able to say, look, I've got an alpha card and you don't. And collectors love that stuff. And gamers love that stuff too. They love those cosmetic skins and the ability to kind of flex on the other player to say, look at the cool stuff I have that you don't. And so I think regardless of standard edition, special edition, it's all going to go up over time. That last Q&A that Parallel did too, I thought was really cool. Is they're going to have physical, retail editions of the cards so people can physically play the game, and you'll be able to find NFTs inside those physical packs. They'll give you like a QR code or something like that to where you can claim an NFT version of it too, which
that's pretty sweet.
I just don't see how this thing can fail, man. It taps into so many 90s era nostalgia of the card collecting and gaming, and I just don't see it going away. Esports are being built around it. It's huge, man. And I think this is really a great opportunity for anybody right now who thinks that they've missed the boat. While everyone's focused on buying all of the standard cards and the SE market has dipped, to either buy their SE cards now, or if they don't think they have the ability to afford or don't really want to put that much into the special edition cards, wait until that snapshot happens. And I bet you the market tanks on it for a bit. That's your time to buy the floor, gobble up some, and then over time, watch it all creep back up.
Nice. Out of the special edition cards, which ones do you think are undervalued right now? Or at least are a must-have?
So I think it's undervalued, and I think it's a must-have because of the collectability. I know you saw here just recently, I gave one of them away in like a tweet contest.
Grasp.
Yeah, Enthalpy's Grasp, if I'm even saying that first word right. But
Enthalpy without the R.
Yeah. So what's cool about that card, or unique, is it's a mismint. So there's only 1,000 of them in circulation, but the card was printed and says edition of 9,000. It's again, something that historically collectors have loved, is they love that production line screw up, so to speak, that makes something even more rare and more unique versus its peers in its group. And so, yes, there are other cards out there with 1,000 card supply.
So that's the one to hold for like a few years.
I think that's the one to hold. I think that's like your Black Lotus from Magic the Gathering, or something like that, of where it'll once people start to figure that out, and especially the big time collectors get involved, they'll realize the uniqueness of that card. Master Poisoner is another card that's a misprint. It's actually a rare card, but it's labeled as legendary, and it's cheaper because it's a regular edition card. So that's another one that's a mismint. And I feel like there might be a third one floating around, but if so, I can't remember what it is off the top of my head.
You need to buy it first, and then on the next podcast you can tell me.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I don't even have the Master Poisoner myself. Like I said, right now, a lot of my personal ETH is tied up in that Prime Key. I do have other projects that I'm kind of flipping here and there as need be, and trying to kind of build myself back up to a nice liquid pool of ETH to where I can get back to flipping some stuff. I got really lucky and fortunate with Parallel to be able to really grow my portfolio, and then a lot of trading and flipping and things like that to build my way up to a Prime Key, and super happy that I ended up grabbing one before this Prime proposal comes out.
Pretty happy for you, my man.
Thank you.
So what projects do you think are gonna pull a Parallel?
That's a good question. I don't know yet, man. I'm not really I'm not really in any rush to sell anything off yet, unless I'm trying to quickly flip it, so to speak, or whatever. So a lot of times what I'm looking for with the cards in terms of flippability, if you will, and I mean, this is honestly my strategy with a lot of different NFTs, is I look to see what the floor level is at for something. So, for example, a card right now is posted for 3 ETH, and I can see that the next sale available for it is 5 ETH. You know, it's very easy for me then to go ahead and say, on something that's so popular, has a lot of volume like Parallel, let's go ahead and buy that 3 ETH card. Let's go ahead and list it at 5.5. I'm still below the current buy, but I just jumped the floor up 2.5 ETH. And if somebody comes along and says, well, that's the cheapest one, let me buy it, then I just made 2.5 ETH that easy. And I can use that to build up to my next purchase. And it gets easier and easier with the higher cap cards than it does the lower ones. And also because the supply is tighter up there, the floors get much more varied. But you can make a lot of money doing that. And you just have to be patient. You may not initially get that purchase from somebody that day, you know, that week. But normally if you can find that thing and you bring the floor up, maybe you get undercut once or twice or something like that, but you can make some money pretty easily that way.
So you're not flipping anything further than the current Parallel? You're not looking into what is it called, the one that Aoki tweeted yesterday? One Force?
I don't have any One Force. I am familiar with it, but I don't have any of them myself. I had a bunch of the playing arts cards, which is an awesome looking project too. That's got another game being built around it, and some of the most popular NFT artists are involved with making those cards. I sold all of mine in profit, which helped me get me towards my Prime Key. But I really kind of regret selling those too, because I think they're going to do much better than where I sold them at. But I was in profits and I needed that money to be able to buy my Prime Key. And that was really what my ultimate goal was to get that. So now I have some
for
smaller...
the Citadel.
What's that?
The key for the Citadel.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so I have some smaller things that I'm flipping. Like I have one of the Heaven's Computer Ghosts. I got that basically right at mint level.
I got desperate and sold all my 3 of them.
Well, you see, that's kind of the way. It's weird, man.
And now it's like half a Ethereum the floor.
Yep. And so I'm going to steal a little bit of recycled alpha from Fitch again. If people aren't following Frank, they're really doing themselves a disservice. But his Twitter handle for anybody out there is at Fitch Inverse. NFT Savient. He's got the eye. Anyway, enough of talking him up. But anyway, some of his things that he'd presented or talked about, and I do fully see this too with NFTs, is that a brand new project gets minted. You have the initial FOMO into the minting of the project, and everyone's gas warring and fighting themselves to get a mint. After that, for whatever reason, you'll have people that either regretted their decision, they get scared of it, whatever, and they pretty much just sell it on OpenSea at mint or sometimes even below mint price. So I've actually done better sometimes waiting for a mint to be finished and going to OpenSea and then looking to see what people are just dumping. And sometimes folks are dumping things before they're even revealed. So you have the potential of getting like a really rare card or something like that, or a rare art piece that some guy hasn't even, taken the time to just wait for it to reveal. Then you have your initial FOMO after that. You have that first wave of people that are coming in as the project starts getting talked about, hyped up. You see a good peak somewhere in volume, in price action for those cards. Then there's that next big valley, and then it seems to just launch after that. And if it's been a legitimate project that can survive that first initial dip, they seem to just do nothing but climbing. Art blocks curated, and really any art blocks in general too, is also a solid purchase, I think, for folks. Those floors have been consistently climbing over time. And then I looked even this morning, I sold mine forever ago, but Mooncats are starting to come back and really start to take off again too.
What about playing arts?
They're going up. I think I sold my Ace of Diamonds at like 1.5 ETH, and they're like 3.7 now or something like that. And they're all of those floors. There's a couple cards you can see that people just aren't as nearly interested in, but if the artwork on those cards is legitimate, and there is a ton of amazing art on those, the floor has just been climbing, and they're printing ETH at this point.
Yeah, I got myself the 10 of spades and the 7 of clubs.
I think my favorite card out of the group there is the Jack of Hearts. I really like the Jack of Hearts art a lot. But that's also the thing, man. Art's subjective at the end of the day, and I think that's one of to circle all the way back to Parallel again. One of the cool things about it is whether or not, I've never seen a negative review on their artwork, but even if you didn't like their art, it has utility behind it. It's a functional game. It's not just something pretty, in your OpenSea wallet.
Yeah. Fitch tweeted about that one like just after the mint, and it went crazy. Like the floor went to 1 ETH, and then it dipped like down to up to 0.2 Ethereum.
Yeah, again, he's got that eye for being able to pick out a project that he was all over Heaven's Computer too, and he was telling us, he's like, listen, I think that's just a unique and bizarre enough project that has a really good following behind it, that it's probably going to take off at some point. And they are, like I said, the floor has gone up almost 6-7x from that 0.1 that they were initially selling for and stuff like that. So
yeah, I didn't really like Computer Heaven art at all. It was too bizarre for my taste.
Yeah, and I
rather capitulate that NFT and go on instead of playing that one. But I guess the play and the long-term strategy in NFT is to basically hodl and sell whenever you're many times into profit.
It's really a patience game for a lot of this stuff. And again, it circles back to, as long as it's not just a shit project, it's going to go up over time. There's going to be people that want it and collectors. I know some quote unquote normie folks who are just now starting to even get into the NFT space, who had zero interest at all in traditional crypto. They didn't want to do quote unquote investing, and things like that, where they were drawn in by the artwork, for different stuff, and they're buying it. They're certainly drawn in by the financial gains that are potentially there, but they're picking stuff that they just think looks cool and they're buying it, or whatever. And it's like I said, the only thing I really steer clear of these days is, like I said, is the PFP projects. I have no flavor or taste in getting involved in what the newest flavor of Avatar is. I think that
what is PFP? And sorry, my ignorance.
No worries. That's an acronym that's basically like for profile picture. And
okay.
Yeah, any of your avatar based
like the
stuff.
Bored Apes and the penguins and all that shit.
Yep. And don't get me wrong, there are very solid projects, like we'd said, of where
they're printing money like crazy.
Yeah. And I missed those because of my bias against those types of projects. But I think I think if you don't get into them early and sell into the hype, as when, crypto Twitter is now jumping to the next shiny project, there's a really big potential you get stuck holding the bag there if another one comes out that they go. I think things like Bored Ape, penguins, they're the exception, to the mass that you see of those out there. Obviously, CryptoPunks aren't going anywhere anytime soon, being the godfather of the NFTs. And I think folks should just be very careful about buying into those generative profile style picture avatar things, unless it's just got some crazy artist behind it that's just well known throughout the NFT space, or has some other kind of utility behind them or something like that. Generally, I think a lot of folks these days that are spinning up these projects are just trying to make a quick buck off the community.
Yeah. One of the first NFTs that I bought that is a profile picture sort of thing was this Space Poggers. And it been pretty hard because I really like the art and the concept, and the tribes are really unique, and they were fun. Like the community on Discord is pretty fun and helpful. But if they don't have any big influencer traction on Twitter or social media, the price is gonna dip, and I fucking bought the absolute top on those one.
And it sucks, man. When you know that you've bought the top on one of those things because of how difficult it is to get out of them. Another one that's near and dear to my heart that's just not doing great anymore is Ape Only. Those folks I thought made some really cool, unique NFT art where it was the pictures of these apes that also were tied into different types of pop culture references, and there was a big rush for them. I think it was back in like March maybe, and they did sell out all their stuff. And what I thought was unique about them too is they were deflationary. You could burn your ape and you could get a metal printout that you could hang up on your wall of that. I thought that was a really cool feature of it. And so I have one that I burned. I've got the ape here in my office. And I really like the artwork and everything behind it. But as more and more profile picture style projects have come out, it's not fresh, it's not new anymore. And projects have shifted, investors have shifted away from that. And they're basically unsellable at this point. There's nobody buying them, maybe, but once every 2 or 3 days, you might get somebody who buys one or something. And so I was able to luckily get my money out on that for sure. But I still have probably like 4 or 5 that are just stuck in my wallet. I can't do anything with them now.
Those are the types of NFTs that you stick for a while. Either is a home run or is an absolute loss.
Yeah. And for folks that are buying multiples of an NFT project, say whatever it is, you buy 5 of them, I highly, highly recommend, for whatever your initial investment was into it, while that FOMO phase is still going on with it, you definitely need to make sure you sell at least like 1 or 2 to get your money back out. So worst case, if it does tank all the way, project interest is completely gone, you've at least got your money back and you've not lost anything. At minimum, you got 3 shiny new JPEGs that are just forever in your OpenSea. But once I started doing that too with things and kind of, like I did that with Heaven's Computer, I bought 5 of them and I've sold 4 of them off and I'm in profit with them. And I have one that I'm still holding on to in case it continues to grow and everything. But if that project were to just nuke tomorrow, I've already got my money out and a little bit of profit out with it. And so it's kind of like traditional crypto, you sell when you're in profits, but always keep a moon bag, so to speak, or like a moon NFT in case the project just goes bananas.
A project that I got into yesterday was it's AI42. I don't know if you've seen it, the one with the loops and
I've seen some people talking about it. Yeah.
And the strings. It has a really neat website. They have like 10,000 loops that you could possibly mint. Right now it's halfway. Basically, the website is app.ai42.art, and you still can mint them and buy the loops. And when you buy the loop, you receive some amounts of tokens called dust. And with those dust native tokens of AI42, you can generate your strings. And right now those strings are selling for something like 0.05 Ethereum, which is pretty not bad at all. And you could,
no, not at all.
With that dust, you could get like 3 or 4 strings. You get partial profits of your initial loops and stay on your loop for quite a while.
Yeah, that's actually pretty cool. And I like projects also that have, again, that extra layer of utility to them, or however you want to call that. One that I bought into that's not really taken off, that I thought would be, really cool and in wood, is they're called cicadas from Cicada Finance, and they're generative cicadas is literally what they are, and they have their own little rarities and stuff. But what's cool about them is they tie into a cryptographic puzzle based off their website, and if you solve these puzzles, you're able to win ETH off of it. And I think they said the top prize is like 100 ETH. So I mean, it's significant money you could potentially win. But they've not even all minted out yet either, and the project's been around for a bit now. So that's almost kind of a red flag to me too sometimes with some projects, is if they've been around for a while and they can't seem to get everything minted. It's a question of, does the market just not care about it, or if they just not gotten the exposure they properly deserve or need to kind of get that fuel and fire to get everyone to get involved. But I mean, like, so that's another one that I thought was really cool, and I've got a few of them I've been holding on to, and there's not a lot of volume with that project, unfortunately. It's real hit or miss sometimes at the NFTs of what you think can be a super popular project just doesn't really turn into anything, or sometimes just got to give it time, and it does, down the road, and it's usually right after you finish selling everything.
Yeah, this is a patience game.
Yep.
And preserving your capital.
Yep.
Because if you get a parallel opportunity and you don't have any capital, like you're gonna miss that amazing opportunity.
Well, the next parallel drop will be in October. The day itself has not been announced.
I'm ready for that one.
I've not looked yet, but it'd be interesting to see if there's any prime numbers.
I'm willing to give out my kidney for that one.
Yeah. It'd be interesting. I've not looked yet, but to see if there's any prime numbers that start with, 10 in the 1,000 range that would line up to a date. Because knowing Parallel, I wouldn't be surprised to see if somehow they gamify the date based off of their lore for when that pack release would be. But nonetheless, it doesn't really matter. We'll know about it when everybody knows about it. And I got a feeling that next pack drop in October is going to be one of the most sought after, utter chaos that any of us have ever witnessed.
I'm ready.
Yeah, I would get your best refresh button and mouse clicking ready. One thing I really appreciate about their project too is they do the off-chain reservations, so it saves everybody gas. We're not gas fighting on there. They said last time they did a really good job at blocking bots from being able to reserve and buy. They have lessons learned from that, and they're applying those for the October drop. So I think this one's going to be even better. What's even cool too is some of these super ultra rare cards that people feel like they're priced out of, like a prime key, catalyst drives, or especially the masterpieces, which are 100 plus ETH. Some of those will be available to be dropped in these card packs, and I think it's super cool that somebody out there who really hasn't quote unquote made it yet, and doesn't have a lot of ETH, they've got that 0.01 to buy that core pack, and they have the potential to literally change their life by drawing a prime key, a catalyst drive, or a masterpiece, and just suddenly, be up $100,000. And I remember when the first card pack happened, there was a guy who said that he got a masterpiece out of one of the 0.01 packs, and he ended up selling that for like $130,000 and like paid his house off. And that's such a cool story. Yeah, it's such a cool story to see people. It's not just the whales winning, you know what I mean? Like the little guy has a chance in this to really change his life if just the random number generator gods are favoring them that day.
Yeah, it's not like having a token and getting rogue pull.
Yeah, and even if you don't get the masterpiece or whatever, like I said, my stuff that I spent a little over an ETH for, ran up to almost 30 ETH worth of value in less than a month. That's insane to 30x, an ETH. So uh, it's hard to find something like that in the traditional DeFi space without, like you said, encountering 50 rug pulls along the way.
Yeah, it's sad. Like there's many risks in crypto. Uh, Getting into NFTs that do not do anything, same as tokens.
Yep.
And saw today your retweets from Sro Faraudi and Jeff Nicholas that they get fished into revealing their private keys and losing all their NFTs.
Yeah, while we're talking about NFTs, that'd probably be a good topic for anybody who's listening, to say that uh, obviously scammers are out there to try to steal your stuff, and they only need to be successful one time. And they got a few different Bored Apes and all kinds of other things too, and probably took damn near 100,000 or more in crypto from someone that day. And what had happened was the person had presented in the official Discord for that project that they were having an issue of some sort. Um, a scammer had spoofed one of the founders of the that Discord project's name, DM'd the guy and said, "Hey, let's go talk and let's figure out what your issue was." And the guy's like, he felt really great. He felt like he was getting the VIP treatment from the project, and like, look how cool these guys are. They're still helping out even with these small little projects. And they got engaged with another project he was talking with. They were really good at socially manipulating him into thinking he was safe and in a comfortable spot, and said, all right, well, we can't get it figured out. Let's take a look at your MetaMask and see if we can figure it out from there. Share your screen with us. And when they did that, they took them to the QR code spot where you can basically copy your wallet over to your mobile device or something else. They copied that over and drained the account. And it's really sad that's happened to some folks. And I'm hoping that those stories really do make an impact on other folks in the community, and they can learn from those mistakes and realize that this is a dangerous place at the end of the day. Crypto is the Wild West, and we ask for decentralization and we ask for freedom. It's a double-edged sword, and comes with a lot of risks and a lot of responsibility on yourself, and a lot of removal of safety nets to save you from fraud at the end of the day. And so folks really need to ensure that their crypto accounts that they're using on exchanges in forums, those are unique email addresses away from other emails that you standardly use. You're using a unique password with a password manager. You've implemented your multi-factor authentication. One of the things, I don't know if a lot of people out in the crypto space knows, I work in cybersecurity for my day job, and some of the biggest cybersecurity hacks and stuff like that you read about in the news could have been very simply prevented by just having multi-factor authentication enabled. The big Colonial Pipeline hack that a lot of people heard about in the news lines, I don't know if it made it far down as you, but at least in the US, that was really big news. That could have been prevented with multi-factor authentication. And the person basically had the same username and password used on multiple websites. The leak happened on a different website, and they just reused that username and password. Simple things like that can really make or break your security in crypto. And ultimately, you can't trust really anybody unless you legitimately know the person. You can't trust that random guy in Discord or anything like that. They're probably going to scam you and take all your money.
No doubt. This guy, Jeff Nicholas.eth, even had a ledger, and the team was helping him out, quote unquote. and like they tried to make a solution for him to get his royalties sent back to him, which he wasn't receiving. And like they're basically manipulated him into anybody that uses a ledger knows that you need to click the two buttons whenever you want to process a transaction. And they were trying to help him out and like make him wait and make him anxious to get the thing over with. And he ended up clicking the two buttons. to make the changes. And when that happened, like everything from his Ether account vanished, like the apes, the Ether, everything, most of it.
It's
But
super sad, man.
even if you have a ledger, you need to be careful when you're making the transactions and confirming them. This other guy
Absolutely.
that the one you retweeted, Shoaib Faraudi, he basically shared his screen, and the team that was quote unquote helping him had a screenshot of the private keys QR and basically vanished all his NFTs.
Yeah. It's
Roughly 250 ETH.
jeez. It's a rough
What?
world out there, man. And folks got
Almost a
to go out
million.
there with the highest level of suspicion about everything, from the links that you have to click for different things. You know, there's so many different ways to get scammed out there. Um, and folks really need to take efforts to protect themselves. And like I said, it sucks, but you can't really trust anybody out there.
No, not really. It's a tough world.
Yep.
It's not only about taking risks, but maintaining the profits in your wallets.
Yep.
Not getting scammed or rook pulled or fished. It's tough, man.
Yep. And that's the world we live in with crypto. And you know, it's a beautiful thing and it's a terrible thing at the same time, of where again you're your own bank. If you know, that's that cliche that goes around. And so with that, you take on all the responsibilities of security and everything else with it. And there is no one to save you. You know, there's once that happens, it's gone. And so I guess for like on the open sea side of things, I guess they froze the some of the NFTs and things like that, so they can't still be transferred and sold. But the one guy mentioned that some of them had already been sold anyway, and so now someone else who bought that stolen NFT that they didn't know about has that frozen in their account, and so that's also now affected that person. And it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Um, but you know, like I said, that's what we the dream was with the space, is the ultimate freedom, and with that comes ultimate consequences too.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, Josh, changing a bit of subjects here. Are you stashing any tokens related to projects of NFT?
Uh, I don't have any NFT tokens, as far as like um, basically like any of the traditional ERC20 tokens or something like that. Um, my actual crypto outside of NFT is pretty much all based around the Sol ecosystem. I have different Sol projects. Obviously, Sol itself.
Do
I
you
have
have
Sol Ape.
do you have like
No, I don't have that.
it's only one and it's a Solana based project.
I'll take a
Supposedly
look
it's
at it.
yeah.
So the other big one that I have a decent chunk amount is BOP, or Boring Protocol. That's the decentralized VPN that they're spinning up over Sol infrastructure. Um,
What's the name?
you know, BOP, BOP,
Bob. Oh, nice.
and so I have a good chunk
I
of that.
think there was a token listed on Coinbase that did that DVPN. I think it's Orchid OXT did a
Yeah,
massive pump last year.
yep. And so
And
I think
Nebraska
it's
and
a
Gunner called that one.
yeah. I think it's BOP is a pretty cool project in terms of where once you get the actual box to host your decentralized VPN, as long as you're using that, you passively get BOP based off of the transactions, the or not the transactions, I'm sorry, but the network connections that you're putting on through it. So um, you can passively, I don't necessarily want to call it mining, but
Mhm.
farm or whatever term you want to use for that, and get some free money from just hosting that DVPN. Um, I have Ray, I have Oxy, I have Serum, you know, all the big flavors within Soul. And I'm a firm believer in the Soul ecosystem. One, because I think it works. I think it's great. And two, because, you know, Alameda Sam's behind it. And I mean, anything that dude touches is
The
gold.
King
Yeah. I mean,
Sam.
he's not going to let his baby fail. And so I'm out here collecting parallel cards. This man's out here collecting sports stadiums. So I'm gonna buy whatever he's behind. So
Yeah, I bought early last week Rare. Have you heard of that one?
Yeah,
Of the competition of Open Ocean, super rare.
Yep, I've seen. There was I think it was Frank Fitch just actually held an auction for some of his personal artwork through there. That was the first time that I'd been exposed to the platform, and it was a solid platform. It was very easy to use, and
anything that he touches is fucking gold, man.
Yeah.
Like when he tweeted that about Rare, it was around 130. It dipped to sub what 90 cents, 80 cents, and now it's at 228.
Yeah, and I think in general, a lot of folks are kind of tired of OpenSea's instability. I don't have an issue myself with OpenSea's platform. I've seen other people complain about it and saying that they just don't like how it works and things like that. To me, OpenSea is fine as far as the user experience, but their stability is
trash.
You can call it bullish or whatever you want, but man, I would really love if they'd take some of these damn fees they're scraping off every time I sell an NFT and buy a larger server stack or something, because it does seem like at least once a week, 2-3 times, during the day, you just can't use it. And you just sit there, you get the historical page or you get the Cloudflare error page, and it sucks, especially if you're trying to get in on a brand new mint or something like that. And I get it. They're getting smashed with traffic when that stuff happens, but they should be kind of prepared and ready for that at this point. I feel like they should know the demand is there.
Yeah. And they have the funding. So no
absolutely.
Excuse.
I would certainly think so.
Yeah.
Every time I sell a parallel card, they're skimming 2.5%.
Yeah. They should scale up. So, and with that, we end our episode. I'm very happy to have Josh hosted Josh on podcast. Thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me, man. We've interacted on Twitter for a long time now, and you're somebody that we've always engaged in each other's stuff and bantered back and forth on there. It's really cool to actually get a chance to sit down and talk with you for a while now about the markets and different things like that. So thank you very much for having me on.
Really appreciate the parallel alpha last week.
Anytime, man.
That was eye-opening. Can you tell us where we can find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Josh McGruff, JoshMcGruff.
That's great, Josh. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks again, man. Have a good one.
And thanks for the listeners. Until next time. Peace. This episode was brought to you by Bing Bong. No matter what the market is doing, Bing Bong has something for all traders. You can trade crypto, forex, commodities, global indexes, and copy trading. Join now at partner.bingbong.com/Panama.